the Percy Jackson fountain billboard. It's a real water tank that has like the cascading fountains and the mist
Mhm.
bursts, and it's all synced to the trailer footage. And so the water effects activated on the rhythm with the on-screen visuals are creating a literal splash zone on the sidewalk. Season 2, it's called The Sea of Monsters, so it's a water-heavy
Oh, yeah.
book. Billboards, they're not that special. So many weird ones in San Francisco these days that are, going for the rage baiting, which we'll talk about later. You had like the Friend AI billboards that we've talked about, but we've talked about other examples that have kind of like, been cool, which is like the Canva one in the Waterloo station in the UK,
Mhm.
which is kind of showing the different examples of like what you can do within Canva. Specifically on these like billboards in like a
Yeah,
new
yeah.
like funny way that like we'd never seen before. So the fact that like billboards are starting to become a thing that like people are putting more attention behind um is like really cool for me, because it's showing that like we're trying to get more attention from people in different ways, right? I don't know what this says about the people that are driving because this is in LA, right? They're going to see like a
Yeah.
huge, fountain like come out. But we'll see what happens. It is in one of LA's highest traffic intersections. So people are going to be like seeing it. But I think another like thing here that's like really working is that it's not necessarily about the billboard itself, it's the attention that you get afterwards, right? So
Mhm.
I found out about it because people were just sharing about it on Twitter. And then from that, it's like you get the social shares and the engagement, and then you get like the press hits from it, because it's like you have journalists talking about it because it's so unique and so different that they're just like, we have to talk about this like new billboard, right? Um, and so it's not just that you're doing the billboard, it's that it goes viral because it's unique. And we've been talking about this here a lot, where it's just like nowadays, it's not necessarily that you're, just doing the thing to do it. They could have just done a regular billboard. It's the fact that they went that extra mile and put a little bit more thought behind it, said, hey, this is a season that's full of like water. Let's, bring it back to water. They're like, oh, we can put like a fountain there. So like, that extra thought of like, how do we
Yeah.
do more with a thing that we were going to do anyways, is what brought them the viral attention, and has now got people to share it and like talk about it, and make it go viral across social media. I joked about it on Twitter that like I'm sure James Cameron for the way of
Yeah.
the water would have wanted this to be a thing that his team thought came up with. It gives like drives like urgency, because we know it's going to be temporary, right? Like it's only going to last a little bit. It's not going to be like a thing that's ongoing. So it, gets you to spend more money for a limited amount of time instead of
Yeah.
trying to do a thing longer. So that's a thing
Hmm.
that we talked about last week with Stripe
Like
doing the mini city. So it's like they knew that that was going to be limited. So they're like, how do we show a thing for longer instead of, cutting it down and doing like a smaller scale, like time lapse of what the actual process was? It was like, no, let's live stream it, show what the entire building process is for the mini city, and then having that be the marketing that's like happening.
Yeah.
And then people want to go see it, right? So for the Stripe thing, it's like you have the live stream, you tell people it's happening, you get them to engage with it by going onto it and seeing if they're being included. For this, people are going to go and drive out to Hollywood and Vine to see the billboard, right? And then this is like such a huge place for like tourists and locals. Like
Mm.
they go, some people might quibble that a lot of locals like going there, but it is a place
Yeah.
where you have it's a high traffic area. So I do see that like a lot of tourists and locals now will go purely to go see it and witness it. So it becomes like a huge thing that people want to do just because of the visual like aspect to it.
Yeah. I think I feel like the key kind of I won't say takeaway, but really I feel like the key thinking here should be like, okay, we spend a lot of effort and creativity on this one thing,
Hmm.
and how can we milk it as much as
Hmm.
possible in a way? So,
That's a good point.
uh, yeah, I feel like Ali, you mentioned about the extra attention from tourists or even locals want to see that,
Hmm.
but I do think the whole the digital part of it, the internet, the online marketing is the one
Hmm.
that actually brings in the bigger attention, just because like you say,
Definitely. Yeah.
it's really
Hmm.
it's really unique, it's really
Hmm.
interesting. I don't think they're the first unique billboard that kind of Do you
Actually, I was
think
just
I
thinking about this right now is, I don't know if you remember when Final Destination, the
Uh-huh.
latest movie was coming out and they
Mhm.
did the log truck,
Oh, yeah,
billboards
yeah,
on,
yeah,
like, the
yeah, yeah,
cars on trucks where
yeah.
it's like they had the
Yeah,
the vinyl with, like, the image of the
that's
logs,
insane,
or
yeah,
they had trucks with, like, actual logs, and then they had, like, the billboard over the side saying, like, Final Destination, and people are like, "Oh my god, yes." So I saw a lot of photos of people just sharing, on the 405 driving, the
mm,
truck, which you may quibble, is that a billboard? Is that not a billboard? But point is that
yes,
it is an out of house, marketing campaign, and that people were
yeah.
like super into it because it was that like acknowledgement of like, oh my God, if you know, you know.
And I think the marketing mindset here has to switch from instead of what is the best out of the house advertising that I can make,
Hmm.
and it's got to switch a bit into what is the best out of the house advertising that I can make, and what is the most shareable one.
Hmm.
So you kind of play around. Okay, this is good, but how do we plan to make it like more shareable? How can we
Yeah.
repurpose it better in the future? So I think, yeah, that'll be interesting. Like I said, I think people will go out more and
Hmm.
next
Hmm.
year because I feel like people just want to touch grass a bit
Yeah,
more.
no.
And um it's a really good opportunity for marketers just to test, test their offline marketing muscle,
Hmm.
so to speak.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you do have to think it about the whole, okay, we made this cool shit, and then how do we make sure people online also find this cool?
Yeah, agreed. So a couple lessons here for me is that the spectacle needs substance. So there has to be a tie-in to your actual brand or like what your company
Yeah.
does. Here, the season is about the water gods, right? So by making it a water spectacle, a fountain, it really ties back to the actual season and brings, that attention of like, oh yeah, it makes sense. Same thing with Stripe, right? Like the mini city that they created were all the vendors that like work with Stripe, right? So it all kind of like makes sense. And then the other lesson here is that um, it's more important now to kind of create events and not just the ads
Yeah.
themselves. So this thing is like it's an event. Like we're gonna go and we're gonna participate. I want to go see the billboard. I want to take like video and like photos of it and see like what's actually happening. The same thing with the Stripe thing that we talked about was getting people to participate, watch the live stream. You don't even have to watch it all, but
Yeah.
you get to go in there. And then they leave it up and running so that you can go and like see the little city, but then also go and take like the photos of like, your company being featured in like the Stripe mini city. That's a thing to think about. It's like it's not necessarily just that we're doing this as like a campaign, but how are you leaving those
Mhm.
little Easter eggs for people to then go and like want to participate afterwards to get them to engage and create and do some of the marketing for you. And it's not just you putting out the
Mhm.
video.
Yeah, exactly. If you can create something that's shareable, I think people will appreciate craft more and more in the
Mm-hmm.
future, especially if it's tangible. It's kind of in the same line of the merch thing, right? Oh,
Hmm.
people actually make this. It's a physical thing that I can
Hmm.
touch. It will increase the brand trust. People like your brand more.
Yeah,
Fingers crossed,
agreed.
yeah.
Yeah,
Unless you're
yeah,
LinkedIn, yeah.
yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, nobody really wants to associate with
Uh,
that.